Hey everyone, it's Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys an old school album review. And today we're going to be looking into this album's 35th anniversary, and it's from the band that started it all when it comes to this genre of music. And as you can see below the title, today we're going to be looking into Seventh Star by Black Sabbath. Now, this is the band's 12th full length album released on January 28th, 1986, through Warner Brothers Music. Now, let's go back to about 1983 with the previous album, Born Again. It was around that time, like the year after that, 1984, where the band had went through a lineup change. For one thing, Geezer Butler, longtime bassist at the time, had left the band. And he was also like one of the primary lyricists on the albums. And around this time, Tony Iommi, the great live lord himself, decided to put out or work on a solo album, and this album, Seventh Star, was actually intended to be a solo album at first, which is kind of be interesting. But there was like around that time there was like pressures from like the record label Warner Brothers, and then their manager at the time, the record was called Black Sabbath featuring Tony Iommi, which is weird, but at the time, to other albums like later pressings have it that just simply put as Black Sabbath. And around that time they had like let's just talk about like the lineup. They have on vocals, they have Glenn Hughes from Deep Purple, and I think he's a pretty good singer. And then we have Jeff Nichols, who's played keyboards on the album. He did like a little keyboards on like previous albums, and then they got Eric Singer playing drums, who would later play drums for the shitty ass band Kiss. And I will say that he does a really great job on the drumming, and I just think he's way too good to be in Kiss, but that's another story for another time. And on bass they have Dave Spitz. But yeah, and this album, I mean, it's good. Well, it's okay, but I just think that, okay, I want to be honest with you. If this was like really just Tony Iommi's solo album, it wouldn't have a problem. But to put this as Black Sabbath is just, why? It just doesn't really feel like Black Sabbath at all. But yeah, and I know a lot of Black Sabbath fans are probably going to get butthurt and talk downvote and talk shit about this video, but this is just my opinion. So, without further ado, let's just dive into this album track by track. Now, starting things off is In for the Kill, well, which I honestly think is a great way to start off this album. It's pounding, driving track, and Eric kind of like does like a little off time thing with his drum beat, which gives a kind of like a technical kind of feeling. And Glenn kind of like shows like great depth to his vocals, and I feel like the chorus in the song is just really great. It's definitely one that'll get you stuck in your head, but I feel like then after like the second chorus, Tony Iommi comes in with a cool riff and then a nice little solo in the song. And I honestly think this is a very underrated Sabbath song. It's kind of like different from their roots and other material, but it's still a fantastic song. Wait, and then the next song on the album is called No Stranger to Love, and this song is kind of like a drag, but I will give it credit. The chorus has catchy, but in like a sappy kind of like cheesy way. Wait, but I think that's all the song has to offer, and Tony gives like one of his basic performances ever, and sort of like Hughes is doing like his best to sell out emotional, but I feel like the song itself is like uncharacteristically sappy. It just comes off as like it's just something just parody and just nothing right from the heart. Then we move on to Turn to Stone, and then it starts off with Eric Singer just opening up with like a short, energizing solo, and the chorus of this song is really what makes it interesting. The band really just nails it. Is that what the chorus is on the album, and the verse is on here really driving from like Tony's guitar playing, and has a great solo. Oh, and I feel like it's decent enough to be like worth the on here, but it just doesn't overstay its welcome at all. Next song is Spink. I didn't really care for this. It's just garbage. Then we get to the title track of the album, Seventh Star, and I feel like this song tries to be the most like Sabbath like Sabbath sounding in the album. It's a very good song too, and Tony's riff is really just very trudging and doomy, which is typical for pretty much all Black Sabbath songs. And the chorus is amazing, and I feel like Glenn isn't bad by any means. I just think the song would be better if, like, I don't know, like Dio sang it I mean, his notes are great, but I just think he's missing kind of like that emotion that really just conveys that he has. The verse melodies, I feel like feel like they could be more, but everything else is like good enough to just make around it. And the middle section is great, and it has like a great keyboard that really just creates like a lot of melody and some great orchestration to it. And Tony gives like another great solo, and then it just fades out. Then we move on to Danger Zone, which is another pretty good song on here. And Tony's like main riff on this is just great. And I'm not like too big on the chorus, but Glenn's verse melody, these are actually pretty good on this song. It doesn't make it fall flat, and the track goes on. It just sorry, I have like something stuck in my throat. Anyway, it just as it goes on, I feel like Glenn kind of adds more power to each verses, and Danger Zone isn't like trying anything too like out of the box, so it's definitely a good song. And then we go to Heart Like a Whale, which pretty much the worst song on here, and it's the longest song too. It's just very boring, repetitive blues jam. Nothing really to offer, not anything. It's just 7 minutes long, and it just drags on for just far too long. Like the bass on here is barely audible to tell there is one, and it just feels like it's drowned out, kind of like how Metallica did with like just Jason Newsted and Justice for All. Angry Hearts, I didn't care for this one either. And then the ends with In Memory, which doesn't really need to be on here. It's just 2.5 minutes. It just feel like it could have was supposed to be like an outro piece or an epilogue to an album, but it's just pointless. It's just acoustic playing and just Glenn Hughes just pretty much repeating himself, which just and then it just ends. It's just the weakest way to end this album. Yeah. Anyway, overall, 7th star by Black Sabbath. It's pretty much a disappointing album. I mean, it had some good moments here and there, but overall, as a whole, it's just nothing really to offer. I feel like if this was like a Black Sabbath, not Black Sabbath, this was like a Tony Iommi solo album, I wouldn't have a problem with this, but to put it as Black Sabbath, just no. So if I were to do this on a score, I'm going to give 7th star by Black Sabbath a 5 out of 10. So yeah, that's my review of it, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the album, and I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.